Carson of the State Department of Education, and so nice to see so many of you here in this beautiful space, and so many familiar faces, and of course always new faces. I get the pleasure of seeing the registrations as they come in, and I always see names I don't know, and I always wonder, how did they hear about Friday Cafe? I'm so glad you're here. I have to tell you a secret. Once you're in, you never get out. Kind of like a cult for the mob. Right now we know who you are and how to find you. But we're thrilled that you're here with us, and we hope that we see you again, and we hope you tell your friends. So those who are here at Friday Cafe for the first time, can you raise your hand? Can you recognize you? Yay! Thank you. Yay! Round of applause. Round of applause. I like to tell people a little bit about what they've gotten themselves into, and so I have a handout on the table, and I think we may have run out, so a few people might need to share, but Friday Cafe is a professional network for family engagement. We're really all about peer-to-peer learning, but we're also about sparking and innovating new ideas. So our goals are to connect, and I think this morning we got a chance to do some of that, to find our people. And because it's not always that easy to find our people and have the conversations where we can say, oh my gosh, you did it. Oh my gosh, you've had that too. I had one of those conversations this week about someone who understood the state stuff and family engagement work. I was like, I can use my shorthand. And she said, yeah, I know what you're talking about. So sparking new ideas, and so we bring people with cutting edge, really interesting information, sometimes from around the country, sometimes from around the state, and sometimes from my own State Department of Education. And I'm very pleased, and I'll welcome just in a minute my peers and colleagues, but I have to tell you, I'm very selective about who I invite from the department. So only the best of the best. And the great thing about sparking new ideas and innovating in beautiful spaces is no one has the answers. And so today in this conversation, for sure, no one has the answers. And I think that's also part of our work in family engagement. We sit at the table as equals. We have different expertise, but we're solving a problem together. Parents are the experts on their children, educators are professional experts, but it really takes all of us to grapple with this. And I think today's topic is really going to lend itself to that. And then our other goal with Friday Cafe is lead alongside families, together making the systems changes that make a difference. And this network, this group, is really about leadership and the professional role for family engagement in our schools and districts. If you flip over, you'll see, many of you know and love our state definition of family engagement, building full, equal, and equitable partnerships. For what? Partnerships for what? For learning. And so my mission this year is to really strengthen the link to learning and call it out and make it overt. And one of my mentors, Karen Mapp, says, every interaction a parent has with a school should leave them knowing more about what their child is learning and how they can help. Isn't that interesting? Every interaction, the school play, right? So if we really take that to heart and embed that in everything we do with families, not only are we going to have better connections, because P.S., that's what families want. Every survey says families want to know how their child's doing and how they can help. And so if we really anchor that information, we're meeting them where they want information, and then we have all the evidence from 50 years. We're raising student achievement. So that's been my quest today, to make that connection really obvious and intentional. And then we talk about our definitions a lot. We don't talk about our guiding principles quite as much, but you'll see there's also our guiding principles. And we call these standards. And it's about the collaborative, trusting, respectful relationships, and then we'll go into some more detail. And another one of my mentors and friends, Ann Henderson, with Karen, just wrote a synthesis of 50 years of research. And it's a beautiful book. You should buy it. You should read it cover to cover. But I can boil it down for you in 2 bullet points. The secret is, out of the 50 years of research, build relationships, link to learning. It all falls into those 2 buckets. And so as we built our definition and guiding principles, we built it from the ground up. We talked to parents, we talked to educators. It took us a year to do it, and it was very organic. And guess what? All our guiding principles fall into those 2 buckets. You know what? You all are really smart. Parents are really smart. And we had the benefit of working with Ann Henderson, and she said everything the parents said lines up with the research. They know what works. So today we're going to dig in, and there's a few of our guiding principles or standards that really, I think, are going to underpin this work we do today. Listen to what families say about their children's interests and challenges and their questions. Boy, the families have a lot of questions in this domain. Support parents to become effective leaders and advocates for their children. And that's that lead alongside. Parents can speak to some of the policymakers in a way that the educators and the employees of the district can't quite do that. Parents are allies in making these systems work for everybody. And then ask students, how do they want their families and schools to support their learning? And I have confidence that our conversation catalysts are going to give us a lot to think about in each of those areas. And so I am very pleased to introduce Dr. Joanne White, who is the state consultant and hands-down leader for English Language Arts, ELA, as we know it, and I've had the pleasure of working with Joanne for a long time. And so much of the work going on in districts right now, if you trace back, you'll find that Joanne has been a catalyst for a lot of the good work that's going on in Connecticut. And Paul Castiglione.
Yep, you did.
Right. Who's a little bit newer to the department, but is tuned into all things going on with curriculum in the academic office, and I think is passionate about this area and brings a lot of expertise from the state level, but also from his work in districts and schools. And so I'm thrilled to introduce our conversation catalysts and take it away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you have it. Oh, you're right. That's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I am so honored to be here to show us some interesting stuff today. And I'm actually very honored to be here with Dr. White. She is unbelievable, and I'm excited to hear and learn from her today. So as Judy said, we are here with Dr. White and myself. I spent a lot of time as a kindergarten teacher, a 5th grade teacher, a math consultant, a middle school administrator, and a high school administrator. And family engagement is extremely important. And now I've been currently up here at the State Department for the last 4 years. But one of the things that we are going to do right now is, because this is so important for everybody to have an opportunity to connect, because we come to these events and there are people around the state that we may or may not know. So there's a couple of things that we're going to do. On your table right now, we have 2 handouts. We have a handout with a paper clip. These are items that you are going to be using today throughout the presentation, and some gifts as we go. But what we also have is a playing card. It's a large, large playing card. And on that playing card, what you are going to do is you are going to find the person with the same number, and you're going to get up and we're going to move around a little bit in this beautiful area, and you're going to find that person. So there'll be 4 4s, 4 6s, and you need to find that person and introduce yourself to them. Please say hello, and then you are going to ask them what is the most beautiful sound in the world. All right, so let's get started with that.
All libraries. How long ago? 10 years. Yeah. So that's my background. It's different, but it's different.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And would anybody like to share a sound? Most beautiful sound in the world. Would anybody like to share? Right here?
I said a baby's giggle or children laughing.
I like that one. That was good. Anybody else would like to share?
I said my granddaughter calling me Meanie. She calls me, she goes, Meanie, I just called to say hi. That's it.
Everybody hear something?
That's adorable. Anybody else?
Is it Sarah or Sarah? Where'd she go? Okay. So in our group, Sarah said that the most beautiful sound is complete silence in a home when no one else is there. It's just you. Kids are gone, significant others gone. That's a beautiful sound, right? Round of applause for that. Thank you, Sarah.
I just like the sound of the ocean. It's just very peaceful.
Anyone else before we move on? I could tell you what I really enjoyed was actually standing up here listening to everybody having conversations and being able to have an opportunity to connect, because that was actually really beautiful to see that, because a lot of times we don't have the opportunity to connect with colleagues from around the state. So hopefully you met somebody new, you maybe can get a phone number, connect, and make a connection. So we do have session goals today, but we do call them habits. The reason why we call them habits is because we want it to be ingrained in your life and make it so that it's something that you do on a daily basis. So these are our session habits that we really are hoping that we get through today, and you guys can take these home and continue to do this. So who do we serve? I came to the State Department 4 years ago, and when I was talking with our Chief Academic Officer, Irene Parisi, she said, "You're not in a district anymore, you are now serving statewide." So this is an important slide to talk about who do we serve. 508,402 students, and those are our clientele. The new digital landscape. So I'm 51 years old, and when mine was movies, I didn't have a smartphone growing up, and when you start to look at these tech waves and start to think about the children that are in front of us and how AI is affecting them and ingrained into their growing up with tutors, hallucinations, as far as what's real and what's not and where they're getting their information. It is a major wave of complexity that is starting to come our way, and I'm still learning this. And it is a very interesting thing, and the more research we do on this, the better and smarter we get. And I learn from my 2 children every single day, and it's just an interesting thing. And this is just a really nice graphic that kind of talks about that. The next piece of information is really about the landscape of how students have tablets and what they're watching. With TikTok and these short form videos, the attention span is really starting to go downhill for students. And when you start to look at this data and see students as young as 2 years old, that means 4 out of 10 students have a tablet in front of them. And when you start to look at students at age 8, 68% of the students have tablets. So this is the world that they are growing up in, and we are chasing behind to figure out how do we keep up with this. And I am going to pass this off to Dr. Joanne White. Thank you.
Thank you, my esteemed colleague. So what does this mean for us as adults? There's a catch, right? So we have to think about social emotional learning, SEL. What is the connection between your personal values, your tech, and social and emotional learning? Turn to a neighbor and talk about that briefly. What is the connection? First of all, there is one. We'll start there. What do you think about that? Yeah, the question is, what is the connection between your personal values, technology, and social emotional learning? even as adults, what does it mean for adults? We'll get to the children in a moment. What's that connection? Your personal values, technology, and your social and emotional well-being. What's the connection? Five, four, three, two, one. Who would like to share out? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
Carissa.
Carissa does not want to share out, so I need somebody else. Who wants to share out? Who wants to? Now, if Paul says you had some good stuff, believe it. Okay, someone here wants to share out. What's the connection?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny Ortiz from the Danbury District. We shared out different thoughts. We said social emotional learning has to do with self-regulation, kindness, compassion, learning social skills, how to interact with real people versus these people are just my friends because we play together on our tablet. I also mentioned, for me, it's a different perspective as a young parent. I kind of love AI and love what it's doing for technology and for students, and I like the possibilities of it if done right and ethically. So I'm caught in between that sandwich kind of environment and generation.
Sure, sure. Thank you for that, sharing your thoughts with us. Yeah, that's important. It's really thinking through, where am I in all of this, right? Someone else.
Thank you. I probably shouldn't have bitten that bagel first. I'm Leah from Bridgeport Adult Education. And my thought of the thing that connects all three, social, emotional, technology, and what was the third thing?
The third thing is social emotional learning.
Personal values, right?
Mm-hmm. Personal
It's,
values, yes.
Humanity, because humans are involved in all three of those aspects. And, you know, I think that's how we want to connect all three and make sure that humanity is still in the center.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not sure who's familiar with this book. It's called The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness by Jonathan Haidt. Is anyone familiar with this book? Awesome, awesome. For those of you who are not, I'm going to pass it around to take a look at it. Around page 240 or so, that's where Jonathan, who was a social psychologist, starts talking about, well, what do we do about this anxious generation? Kids who only know about or have only grown up with a smartphone, an iPad, and other technology, right? It's all they know. As a matter of fact, he talks about the kids who have this finger that doesn't straighten out because from a very young age, they were holding their phones, right? And so they have like sort of a permanent bend kind of thing going on because of how they hold their phones. Is that you? Oh, I thought I heard somebody point, I thought I saw somebody point you out. Oh, okay. He's like, it's not me, it's not me. But one of the things that we have to think about as it relates to social emotional learning, first of all, adult SEL, right? We talk about students having SEL, self-awareness, self-management in all of these areas. And this comes from CASEL. You're familiar with CASEL. They are the SEL experts. And that's wonderful, but the other thing that we have to think about is the fact that our values need to align with how we're engaging, right, with AI, for example, artificial intelligence, and other technology, right? And so someone mentioned the human aspect of interacting with technology, and that was spot on, of course. And then someone else talked about how we engage with it and what we know is right, right? So the ethical intersection between AI, how we operate, how we approach, how we use technology. And so all of those areas are so important. So how do we do this, right? How do we cultivate in ourselves and our children, students, families, entire schools. How do we promote this idea of an ethical way of engaging, right? And how do we talk about ways to strengthen the neural pathways, if you will, for engaging with technology in an ethical way, in a way that maintains what I think of myself, how I feel about myself, in a way that maintains my feeling of importance to myself, right? Because we know that when we engage in social media platforms, what are some of the things that can happen? It's everything you're thinking, right? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. This is something that families need to work on without hesitation, right? So let's take a look at, just very briefly, the skills and knowledge that employers expect students, adults, graduates to have, those who enter the workforce, right? So this is based on, as it says, the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs survey. It's a survey that was conducted in late 2024, and it brings together the perspectives of more than 1,000 global employers, collectively employing more than 14.1 million workers across 22 industries. Now you might say, only 1,000, but it's global, right? So think about across the world, and 14.1 million workers were represented in this study. And so AI and big data, the networks, cybersecurity, technical literacy, all of these skills are what employers are expecting people to come with, right? It says in the next 5 years, but I think we're here, right? Yeah. So which of these skills are connected to social emotional learning? Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And so how do we work on this, right? What do we do? One of the things, for some reason this has animation, but so we have to think about, as we engage with technology, how we do that in a way that preserves our physical, social, and emotional health, right? So one way that we do that is to engage families, ourselves, in some activities where we think about our values, right? Because our values are going to drive what we do as we engage in technology. So you can see here the essential question is, what are my values and how do media and tech impact them? Because that can happen, right? Of course, what's key here is values, right? What we believe to be important in terms of how we approach the world, how we operate, right? How we engage in our culture, right? And it's informed by how we experience the world. So this is something that can be done in a classroom, but it's something that can also be shared with families. So on your tables, you have a handout. It looks like this. It's the one that has the squares on it. Okay, and so you can see there where it talks about, at the very bottom, the question, which 2 to 3 values resonate with you right now, and why? So take a moment at your tables and you're going to report out, but for now you can talk about this as a whole table or with your shoulder partner and talk about which 2 to 3 values resonate with you right now and why. And remember, we're looking at this because we're thinking about how we experience media and technology and how we do that in ways that support one's mental health, physical, social, and emotional health. It starts with our values. Which ones resonate with you? And we're going to wrap up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So who would like to share out? Which values resonate with you and why? Who would like to share out? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Adorno, and yes, nice to meet everyone. I chose balance, presence, and emotional health. I think those three to connect together to really balance it out and be more present with your, the family, with yourself, and
So, okay. Thank you. So it's about being more present with yourself and also with your family. Thank you.
Ripper, you see from Danbury. So we were talking, we chose the physical health, the gratitude, and the connection. But one thing that we recognize is that these are all interconnected, right? Not having one as a standalone. Because as you strengthen one, you have the potential to strengthen others.
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Melissa Redding. I am going to share all three. I selected spirituality, emotional health, and balance. I think that spirituality and emotional health or psychology work really well together, regardless of what you believe, and balance because I need a little balance.
Thank you. Awesome, awesome. Anyone else? One more.
Hi, I'm Kim Bauman from Weathersfield School of Family Community Partnerships. And before I share mine, I want to share a story from UConn PEP Parent Leadership, because the first session of UConn PEP Parent Leadership is on values. And we had parents say that no one had ever asked them that question before, and they had never thought about it. So I think that's important. And mine is presence and spirituality. And Sarah had asked, is that something that I have always had? And the irony is I'm using technology to do it. So I do the Calm app every morning and every night and watch prayers on YouTube. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about, well, you've already done that. Tell me your name again. Kim. So Kim's already answered this question, but for the rest of you, what are your top 2 or 3 digital/phone activities? Let's talk about that for just a moment. Turn to your shoulder partner. What are your top 2 or 3 activities? Do those activities align with your values? Who would like to share your current top 2 or 3 digital or phone activities? And do those activities align with your value? Kim already answered. Who's next?
Hi everyone, I am Grace Molina from Danbury too. Our whole table is practically Danbury today, which is really cool. So no judgment. I know we're in a judgment-free zone, but I'm just gonna say that.
Absolutely, judgment-free.
We talked about texting, group chats, funny TikToks, things like that. And then I mentioned in the morning when I'm getting ready, like hair, makeup moment, right? I watch or listen to true crime documentaries. Anybody else? So all right, cool, no judgment. I have a few with me. And I was saying, it's interesting to me, but I think it just wakes my brain up in a different way. I'm looking for details that I wouldn't normally listen for or look for just to understand more of what happens. So, and I explained this is not at night when I'm going to bed or like when I'm cooking or doing things with my kids, but when you ask the question, that's the first thing that pops to mind. That's the way I use my phone in the morning.
And that aligns with your values how?
It doesn't.
No judgment. No, this is a serious question.
I think for me, again, it's more like the understanding of the mindset in the background.
Yes.
I'm a psych major, so it's always about what makes people, see, everybody nodded, they understood that.
There you go.
So I guess that value, just understanding someone's point of view, understanding what made them, do the things they did and how to prevent it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Who's next? Yes. I'm not sure what he's going to say, but.
Question. I said, you know what? I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to go to my screen time section on my phone and say the top 3 instead of what I think are my top 3. So I did that for the week, and mine came up YouTube, ChatGPT, and Instagram. So that will be something I say you can check on your settings if you have an iPhone. I don't know how it's called if you have an Android, but it'll be a good practice so you can see what you're actually spending your time in versus what you think you're spending time.
Wow. Wow, right? That's a wow. Thank you, thank you. Who's going to follow that? Right there, okay, thank you. Connect to your values.
Hello everyone, my name is Johanny Rodriguez, and I'll be honest and piggyback on what they said. I do wake up in the morning and turn my phone on, turn my alarm off, and I jump on YouTube. And that actually does align with my values because it's the first thing that I go to is my worship music or a Christian podcast to help kind of like help me start my day on a more positive note. And texting, I do check my apps to see where my screen time is, and I spend most of my time on YouTube, texting, and maybe some TikToks to help lighten my day up from time to time. But I've steered away from a lot of the social media.
Awesome, thank you so much, those of you who shared out. Remember, this is about, even as adults, connecting our values, what's important to us, what drives us, right? How we engage, and how we then interact with technology, right? Because values, that's what's going to right size, if you will, the whole situation, right? Our values drive how we behave and what we do. Now let's think about that in terms of children, students. What does that mean? And how do we cultivate this understanding of values and how values and social emotional learning impact mental health when engaging with technology? How do we do that? I'm glad you asked. We have a tool here. So this wheel represents all of the social, emotional, and intellectual habits that have been identified for us statewide in Connecticut. It's a document, and you'll see QR codes. You'll have hyperlinks in the slide deck for all of the handouts. But basically, this is Connecticut's approach to the broader aspects of SEL as it means as we integrate SEL in the academic areas, right? So whose job is it to work on SEL, or the development of social, emotional, and intellectual habits? Whose job is it? Everyone's. It's everyone's. It's the nurse, it's the school counselor, it's the family liaisons, it's the family liaison coordinators, it's the teachers, it's the students themselves as they grow and mature, right? It's everyone's responsibility, all of the administrators. It's at the district level, it's at the school level, it's after school programs. It's everybody's job to work on cultivating social, emotional, and intellectual habits. What's different about Connecticut's wheel, if you will, is that yes, it includes the CASEL elements, right? But it also includes the intellectual piece, meaning how you support students and help regulate emotions in the academic setting, right? And so this also applies to and connects with the digital piece, right? And so my point is that these are documents that you can reference. There is one for families, there's one for administrators, one for teachers, the abridged version. This is a K-12 document, and it's multiple pages. However, the abridged versions of these documents gets to the essential information about the areas we can work on collectively to support social emotional learning and the development of the intellectual habits. Remember, the intellectual habits are also connected to that survey that was done. Remember all the blue boxes that talked about the work skills that are needed within the next 5 years, which we all collectively believed you need them right now, right? And so these are the documents that will help you explicate, right, the behaviors, the dispositions, the understandings, of how to engage with AI and the digital world, and be okay mentally, if you will, emotionally, psychologically. And so that's the importance of all of this. I know it's sort of kind of ethereal, amorphous, theoretical, if you will, but I do know that these documents, these are the anchors, right? So if you think about it through the lens of engaging in the use of artificial intelligence as well as technology can certainly cause harm, if not harm, at least some worry, right? And so it's having instilled in yourself certain values and dispositions, right, to buffer. And so developing skills that are outlined in these documents, that's what helps with the buffering, if you will, right? Because you can't sit next to children, students, family members all day, every day when they're using technology. Can you? No. So we have to instill, right, these dispositions so that we can navigate the use of technology in a way that is beneficial. So another resource that we have here, these are called Family Tech Planners, and you actually have a copy of one in your packet. And so if you look in your packet, you will see a copy of it, or you can scan the QR code here and pull them up and click on one. And so this is something that can be used with families. As it says here, you can establish the family pause check-in. Basically, this is about modeling the use of technology collectively as a family, agreeing on, hey, here's how we're going to use technology, here's what it means for us, here's what we're going to agree to when we engage with technology. As a family, here's what we're going to agree to when it comes to the use of technology in schools or in the classroom. Maybe as a family, the idea is, okay, I know the other students have cell phones, but as a family, we've agreed that you're going to leave your cell phone in your backpack or in your locker or wherever, right? And we're going to agree as a family that as a 7-year-old, you may not need an iPhone. Maybe, right? So this really is about families coming together, and you can guide families in using these materials, right? They become tech partners in a way. So the parents become tech partners with their children, whether they are very young or they're adolescents. And the parents have to, and this is what you can help with, they're going to have to be brave. They're going to have to understand they may not know everything, and they're going to have to understand that it's okay to say so. It's okay to engage in a discussion with family members and collectively making decisions about, you know, in our house, here's how we're going to do this, right? And these are documents that can help with that planning. So if you would, and we only have about 45 seconds to do this, either pull a document up on your phone or take a look at the document on your table and think about some of those areas listed in the document. What might you record? If you were to do this right now with a family member or with your family, or if you're working with families, how would you guide them to fill this in? What would you say in some of those areas? Take about 45 seconds. What is one item you would include in your planner if you were creating this planner with your family, or if you were guiding families to create this planner? What's one thing you would include?
Hi, Jenny Ortiz again from Danbury. We were just discussing this and how to integrate it with our parents, and we said there's one component that we want to touch upon, and that's the culture, right? Whatever culture that parent comes from. And I speak more like Latino, you know, Afro-American, whatever the case might be. You have to touch upon maybe how that person might have been raised, or what rules, or how to bring that into the home to have an open conversation. Some cultures might not have an issue with technologies, and some may. So it's also integrating the cultural part of it.
So this is a perfect example of being culturally relevant, right? It's understanding how families engage with technology or how they do not engage with technology, their beliefs and values regarding technology, before you even fill out the document, right? Excellent, thank you for that. One more person in the back.
I'm Ashley Hutchinson. I'm from Stanford Public Schools. So one of the things we were talking about, I was saying, so I have a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. My 7-year-old does not have access to her device throughout the week. She gets it Friday after all her household responsibilities are complete. And then she has access to it for the weekend, but not all day, every day kind of thing. We take breaks. And with my son, who's 13, he has screen time restrictions. So same thing, I can turn off his phone so he can't do anything. And that's been one way that we've been able to kind of limit the screen time, I guess, within the household. But we also have the conversations of unsafe technology, and like he's in middle school, he's in 8th grade, so of course everybody wants TikTok and Snapchat. And part of my role, I actually sit on a panel at the police station, so I hear all the horror stories of all the things happening with kids and Snapchat and this and that. So like he doesn't understand that I'm protecting him. He thinks I'm just being like a lame mom because I'm the only one that doesn't let him have Snapchat. But we've been integrating more conversations in that, and especially during like mealtime. That's like the one time, even my husband and I, it's like now it's like phones flipped over or off the table kind of thing, just to be more present.
So did you dictate that? Did you say, hey folks, here's how this is gonna work? Or did you have a conversation with your children? Did they how did you engage them?
Kind of both. So when my daughter first got her iPad and my son first got an iPad, because he had it before his phone, it was more of like, these are the rules of how it works kind of thing. You know, I know all the passwords, you're not changing things, I have access to everything on my phone, that kind of thing. As my son got older and he got a phone in middle school, then it was more like controlling who he can text and can't text. And I still go through his phone, whether he knows it or not, but I go through his phone. I have his Instagram on my phone, so I see all his notifications, you know. But it's been more of just the conversations for sure that have been happening.
Okay, so this was a coaching moment, right? All of you folks who are here, right? So it was, I'm the parent, and at this age, it's appropriate for me to say, here's how this is going to work, right? But as your children become older, as you said, it was more of a conversation, right? Because as children grow, they can understand why some of the limitations are in place and talk about those limitations, right? And kind of negotiate what those are with you while you're still the parent though, right?
Yeah, and the other side of that I was going to say is what I've been doing is I use my personal experience when I'm working with families to share with them what I do, because there are a lot of times that families that come to the panel that I sit on, they're like, we ask, how long are they on their phone? They're like, oh, I don't have access to their phone. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you should. You can set restrictions. And like, oh, I can, so like some parents don't even know that that is something. So for me, it's been more of educating. I'm like, yeah, you go in your settings, you do this, you do that. And they're like, oh, wow, I can do all that, So I've used my personal experience to try to help educate others too.
Thank you. Awesome, thank you for that. So the Learning Partnership Pledge, right? So it's really about committing to engaging in future forward conversations, as we just had that example, and exploring technology together. So some of this is, yes, you might text friends, but as a family, are we engaging in texting, and what are the things that we're saying to each other, and how do we text each other? How do we speak with each other if we're texting, for example? But it's really about having discussions, right? Another way of engaging families, and you can share this with your families, is having conversation starters. And the conversation starters can be any list of questions, but this is just an example. Another activity that was listed on the previous slide is pause, right? Again, having conversations. Why are we using this app? What does it do for us? Do we feel it's safe? What's the rating, right? Students, young children can understand ratings, right? So that's another way of getting at the conversations. Remember, this is really all about understanding, how we engage with children, young children, adolescents, in technology and AI, and what we have to know and understand in order to support our well-being and mental health as we use the technology. So I'm going to hand it over to Paul.
Our Commissioner, Charlene Russell Tucker. A round of applause for Dr. White.
Oh, my goodness, thank you.
Our commissioner is committed to equal and equitable access. So what are some things at the department that we are doing to help and support digital literacy? So some may know, some may not know, that we launched a artificial intelligence pilot. We put out an RFI for resources. We had, I think it was like 51 different resources that came through the department, and we had a rigorous review, and 6 of those resources rose to the top, and 6 schools are currently in a pilot last year and currently piloting this year. Is anybody in the pilot in the audience at all? So we do partnerships with Common Sense Media. Common Sense Media or Common Sense Education, they use those terms interdisciplinary. They are a partner of ours that we meet with monthly, and they have some unbelievable resources. Those tech planners come from Common Sense Education, and one of the other parent ultimate guide to generative AI, this is also in the back of the packet. This is an unbelievable quick read for not only parents but educators, for everybody to have access to it. It really is an interesting read, and really talking about the ethical understanding, and it really just breaks it down and gives some parents some really good education around it. So this is my opportunity to talk about some of the things that Connecticut is. I don't know if anybody knows, but Connecticut is an open educational state. We're one of 22 states around Connecticut that are wide open. It's not that it's free, it's open, so everybody has equal access to all sorts of resources. And so one of the things that we have is we have Go Open CT. We have 9 model curriculums that everybody has full access to. And one of our curriculums that we have is digital literacy and well-being. It used to be digital citizenship. So legislation was created on trying to find a comprehensive K-12 model curriculum around digital citizenship. And I would say about a month ago, Common Sense updated all of their units, grades K through 8. They are currently working on high school upgrading it. So once I found out I was coming, I purposely made the changes because prior to that, kindergarten through 8th grade had roughly about 4 to 6 units. Now they've increased them and updated them to roughly, kindergarten has 13 lessons and every grade between 1 through 7 has 18 different lessons. So I'm going to take you out to see this. This is a great resource for not only parents but also educators. Take you out to Go Open. Has anybody heard of Go Open? All right, a couple hands, because when we go out, this is something that we want to make sure that is in the hands of all educators and parents. This is wide open. So this is Connecticut's public digital library of all things model curriculum. We wanted to make it super easy for teachers to have access, so we created a 2-click process. So right here on the K-12 model curriculum hub button, when you click that, you instantly have access to 9 model curriculums. So the department legislation was written in 2021 to create K-8 model curriculum. The team came together and created a design principles on what we believe model curriculum should look like. And then based on that, we brought teams of teachers together, higher ed and consultants from the State Department to start building these model units. This is a may, not a shall. We had to create them. Districts do not have to use them, but they are there, open and free for everybody to have access. I'm going to show you the K-12 digital literacy and well-being curriculum. So when you click on here, you'll see all the different grades. I'm going to click on kindergarten for a second. When you click on kindergarten, what you'll see is we are in the process of updating our video, and what we had is Common Sense created a video to help and support teachers on how to access the curriculum online. We also create a quick start guide for every curriculum that we use, and that just tells you how to navigate the curriculum on Go Open. We also have a Q&A section there, so to help answer questions. All of our curriculums look exactly the same. We use the same model on purpose so that elementary teachers don't have to code switch. So every curriculum you go in, they will all look the same. Obviously, there's different material inside, and we talk about our equitable and inclusive curriculum. This is your course description, your aligned core resources, the transferable skills that are in this document and in this curriculum, and then there's family engagement opportunities. So when you click on that resource, it will send you out to Common Sense Media, and you will have a whole host of resources that you can use for parent engagement. Yes?
The state curriculum, is it every unit, every grade, the Common Sense?
For grades K through 12, we were required to highlight a model curriculum, and after a vigorous review, part of the legislation, it was the only one that was out there that was K-12. Yeah. So when you click on one of it, what is media? You'll click on it, you'll see the link, you'll see the overview, you'll see your commitment of 20 minutes. The resource library will take you right out to Common Sense Media, where you have full access to those curriculum lessons. You could use as much or as little as you want. The only thing that they do ask you for is to just sign up using a teacher email, and you'll have free access to it. So it's K-12, and they just updated it. So they came out about 2 months ago where they updated all of their units. And since we knew we were going to be here today, we wanted to make sure that everything is fully updated. We have not made that announcement yet, but here's a little sneak preview of all the model units. So this is an interesting slide, what AI is and what it's not. We're just going to take a minute at your table to kind of discuss what it is and what it's not, and then we can have a quick little discussion around it. Can't see it? I didn't want to read the slides. So we'll just pick a couple of them. What is AI? A powerful tool for processing and analyzing large amounts of information quickly. What AI is not: a replacement for human teachers or critical thinking. A technology that can assist with complex problem solving. What it is not: a segment being genuine emotions or consciousness. A system that learns from existing data and makes predictions or generates content. What it is a technology with potential applications in education, research, and administrative tasks. A tool that can help personalize learning and experiences. A technology that requires careful human oversight and ethical consideration. And I think that's what Dr. Joanne White was talking about, is really, when we're using this, is really paying attention and using the problem solving. Really thinking about, is it really true? And I don't know if anybody's done any research on hallucinations, and it's very interesting to do that research. All right, so we're going to play a quick little game. So I played this game last night with my daughter, and I did absolutely horrible. Has anybody seen this game? Okay, awesome. So we're going to watch a quick little video, and then we're going to play the game, and we'll have a little fun before we wrap up today.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to Two Truths and AI, the game where you use your eyes to spot the AI lies. Here's how it works. I'll show you 3 movie posters. 2 are real movie posters, but there's a twist. One sneaky poster was generated or altered by generative AI. Your mission? Spot the fake. Look for the clues that AI leaves behind. Text that doesn't make sense. Faces or body parts that seem strange. Details that just don't belong. Something strange is included or excluded. If it gets too tricky and you need a little help, use the hints. You get 3 hints for easy mode, 2 hints for medium mode, and only 1 hint for hard mode. Are you ready to play? Well, stop watching this video and get started.
All right, so what we'll do, when we start to play the game, it's a 60-second clock, so it is timing you. And in the bottom left-hand corner, there are hints. But what we'll do is we'll just yell out, and the ones that I hear, I'll play the game, but it is really interesting to watch this.
Looks like it was a bit too tricky for you. I guess you need more practice, and that's okay. Practice makes perfect. Here's some tips for your next try. AI can be used to alter objects. These changes can be big or small, so you have to pay attention to the details. Movie studios usually keep their animation style consistent across sequels, but this one looks different. Poe seems more realistic, less cartoony. When a character's style suddenly changes, that could be a red flag. AI has some trouble making real words. It creates shapes that can look like letters, but the text can sometimes be misleading, false, or out of place. Look closely at this movie poster. The DreamWorks logo of the kid fishing is oddly shaped. Plus, the credits at the bottom might look like text from far away, but up close, they're just meaningless squiggles. Use what you already know. If you know Kung Fu Panda, you would notice this poster only shows Po alone. Where's the Furious Five? Where are his friends? Plus, we're only on movie 4 in real life, not 6. The more you know about a topic like the Kung Fu Panda franchise, the easier it is to spot when someone might be using AI to trick you.
So in that last handout, all of the items that we had today, we printed that out for you so you can scan your QR codes. So everything is there that Dr. White had talked about, and the digital literacy well-being curriculum is there, so you can take those with you. And these are our emails. Irene Parisi is our Chief Academic Officer at the State Department, and both of our emails are there if you have any questions. I'm all things curriculum, and Dr. White is all ELA and social emotional learning. And if anybody has any questions, we can open up the floor. I think we have a few minutes.
The screen planning documents are great for parents because I think a lot of what I'm doing is like coaching parents to be able to feel empowered enough to set a boundary with their child and their technology, and sometimes even take away their technology. I think one of the things that would be really helpful to have with that planning document is some kind of safety plan, just because within some of the meetings that I've had with parents, they've really truly felt fearful about taking away technology and devices, and what's going to, what is my child going to say? Will they make a threat to harm themselves if I take this away? How do I know if it's founded or unfounded? And so just making sure we understand that we're dealing with children who truly have addictive behaviors to these screens and devices, and making sure that we're giving parents resources that are going to help them make those decisions, but also make them mindfully for their child and their safety.
Love that. We created a committee of administrators, students across the board, K-12, and we designed AI district documents. So we have student engagement, we have student guidelines, we have things that are wrapped around our vision of the global citizen. We also created a continuum from 1 to 5 that allows teachers and really promotes teachers to have the discussions about AI, and if you're doing an assignment, where on the AI continuum are you allowed to do it, and how do we document AI use, and really talking to the kids also about the safeguards. So we only allow right now students to use Magic School, we only allow teachers to use Gemini within the FPCT.org domain. Just we talk about the importance of safeguards to the students. And really, what you were talking about is what is the assessments, and really looking at powerful task design, and how do we really look at our assessments through that lens to create powerful tasks that make students think.
And this is Farmington.
Farmington.
Is that document posted on the website?
I'm not sure, but I will find out.
So go to Farmington's website.
Well, I'll find it.
Artificial intelligence guidance, right?
It's all of our documents, yeah.
Oh, you have them.
I went to Kristen.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some colleagues in Wethersfield. In May of 2024, we started the Anxious Generation Book Club, and we had over 110 people in our community participate in 4 or 5 online and in-person events in July.
Wow.
And people came. Then we had a follow-up meeting where we had Bike Walk Wethersfield, police, it goes on and on. And Neela Takor is here today. She's a principal at Emerson Williams, and they're doing the Let Grow curriculum with their kids and families. And Sarah Ruberman is here, and she's connected to the National Balance Project, and is running an initiative in Wethersfield that's 50% parent-led. So what we're hearing from parents is they want this, they just don't know what to do.
So parent-led.
Yep,
There's your
parent-led.
example of parent engagement, right? Co-development, co-led, right? Do you want to say anything else about that?
I just want to say, love it, and hats off, and so glad you all are here today with us. And I'm going to come over at the end because I want to know more.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
Thank you. I just wanted to say an analogy that popped into my head. How many today use navigation to get here to the pond house? How many without the navigation now know how to get here? Okay, so I don't know how to get here, but I use my navigation, which is a tool. So to extend that analogy to AI, if children are using it to write and they don't know how to write yet, they're not going to learn that skill in the way that us old school people, we know how to write. So when we use AI, it's just a tool. It's not a crutch for us. But for someone learning the skill, like for someone who needs to learn directions, using navigation as a tool, it's gonna kind of handicap you. So I think that's when and I've had that discussion with my own children about the cheating, using AI, and Mom, don't use it. And I said, I know how to do all that stuff. I learned. So I get to use it as a tool now. But I think that's the awareness, being mindful of what we know how to do and what we're just using as a crutch for someone that doesn't know the skill.
In addition to my full-time role, I also teach at a higher ed institution. The last 2 semesters, I've really leaned into AI. But for the first 3 weeks of every semester, I spend with my students teaching them how to ethically use it, right? One thing that I have found in the last 2 semesters that has opened their eyes, quite literally, is for the first 3 weeks, we feed ChatGPT a lot of things that we're working on, right? A lot of their writing without them necessarily paying for an account or giving any personal identifiable information. And we give ChatGPT a prompt at the beginning, and then we ask ChatGPT questions about what it's learned about them in that 3 weeks. And that has been an incredibly useful tool to open a dialogue about how are you ethically using AI, and what are you feeding into AI for AI to learn about you when you might not necessarily want AI to learn certain things about you, right? So it's flipping the script a little bit. I too have gotten kind of the, like, when I say we're gonna spend the first 3 weeks learning how to use AI tools to help us be better writers and help us be better researchers, because just from my own perspective, I don't think it's going away. I think if we parallel it with, prior generations, it goes back to that discussion that like, we would hear, you're never gonna have a calculator on you when you go to the supermarket, and then, hello, here we are, right? But so, learning to teach our students and our families, our adult learners, how to ethically use that is incredibly important in my book, and I found that to be a very helpful kind of lean-in first step to not only making them feel a bit more comfortable with it, but also recognizing what constraints we have to put on it ourselves, and it helps them self-check and self-regulate a bit.
You're going to be glad you're not my own child. For Christmas, my children are getting I think it's the 12th or 13th edition of the printed Merriam-Webster dictionary. Like, Mom, are you serious?
Tell them about the phone.
Oh yes, we also use at our house, we have a tin can telephone, if you've seen these online. It's a landline, really, like it's a newly reinvented landline for kids. It's the 1980s plastic telephone, it's connected to the wall, it's actually controlled by an app that I have, so my kids can only call people that are on our list, and it's in the family room, and it's so cute.
One of the things we always hear from you is you want to share this with other people. So I'd like to just have you share out an aha moment and how you're going to use it and share it with someone else.
My name is Leah. My aha moment today was when the Go Open Connecticut digital literacy curriculum was shared with us. And I would like to bring it back to my adult education students in my digital literacy program. And I looked at the 12th grade, Unit 1, and it has the dangers of screen time, or something like that, how screen time can impact you. And it has a discussion with your students about how they're viewing screen time and how much they're doing. So that's my aha moment. I'll definitely take that back and use it.
So we're often talking to our children, people that we come in contact with, staff members, about their values. For me, the aha moment was connecting the values back to what it is that you are actually taking time to look at on your phone or whatever your device is. So that was the aha moment for me, helping folks, I'll take that back, helping folks to understand the connection between their values and then what they're spending time actually taking in via these media platforms.
I don't know if it's an aha or if it's something that I'm going to do. So the activity that Jose shared with us, and how you looked at your phone and looked at your screen to see where you're paying all your attention, I'm going to have you help me find mine.
Aha moment for me was when I saw on the screen how we're able to teach intellectual thinking with our technology. I know that for myself, as well as a parent, I always felt like technology was not something that can help our kids into deep thinking. Kind of piggybacking on what someone else said, the importance of knowing how it can benefit us and how it can hurt us. But it was a big aha moment for me because I'm kind of old-fashioned, and I've always steered away from social media and electronics to help my kids do deep thinking as well as myself. So it was really, really interesting and intriguing to see that that's something that we can use with technology. There are tools out there to help us develop deep thinking with technology as well. So that was really, really interesting for me.
So I am someone who to date has not fully embraced AI. So I think my aha moment is I can look at this as a learning tool and I can explore more.
So my colleague and good friend Gabi and I were talking just now about when we talked about tone
right? And AI knowing, right, the tone of voice and why that's important. I turned to her and I said, I wonder how we have that conversation with families. And the importance of, just why that's important. I just turned to her and said, do you think our families are even thinking about their 5-year-old going into kindergarten, right? Or their 8th grader, and why that's even important for them as an adult. We're always thinking about ways to communicate this in the long term. What is this gonna look like for your 18-year-old, for your 25-year-old? What skills will they have or not have by using this in a certain way or not in a way, right? So I just like kind of turned to her and I said, I really wonder whether this is a thought even, right? So how do we start that conversation?
So on the advisory committee meeting that was held the other day for the project, there was a person there that gave us a playbook on how to work with the families ahead of time. She also showed us a really, really scary video that addresses exactly what Grace talked about. So if maybe we can share that out with the whole group, that would be really, really wonderful. Yeah.
I just wanted to share that there are unique ways that educators can figure out if it's really the student's authentic voice. When I was just doing my master's degree, in addition to all of the research papers, they also asked for 2 video presentations. So there are unique ways. So I go online, so they wouldn't necessarily know my unique tone of voice. And so I think as they are figuring out how they can stop folks from cheating or overusing AI, there are unique ways that teachers are trying to figure out how to navigate this new space.
So, and I'll let you know, I just read a headline. I didn't dig deep into the story because, you know, we don't do that anymore, right? I read the headline and feel like I know it. I can talk about it. So there's a country, I'm going to say Finland. Let's say Finland. That is considering legislation to give their citizens ownership and copyright of their face, of their voice, of their body. And, you know, you see these, like they do the deep fakes and take people's clothes off. There's an app that you take a picture and it'll take the person's clothes off, make them look naked. And so those would be illegal. So those would be crimes if you use someone's likeness or voice. So I think, isn't that interesting? What do we own? What's private? What's ours? Yeah, and in this training we did at the advisory group, someone talked about, there was a case where a mother saw her baby on an advertisement for a product. Maybe she put her baby's picture on Facebook. So, really interesting questions, and I think to explore with our students and young people, what's yours exclusively? And just like your artwork, your writing, your speaking is yours. So with that, I want to thank you. I appreciate you coming at this very busy time of year, and I want to wish you all the best and a happy holiday.
So thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in 2026. Go enjoy and be great on purpose. Thank you.
Thank you.